Hello, everybody. This is Fred Quinones from qtheexperts at eXp Realty. Did you know about inspections? Primarily today, I'm going to be talking about an as-is sales contract. Those are generally a majority of the residential contracts that are completed in the state of Florida. And with an inspection, you would think, as is, right? There's nothing that I can do. But actually, there's the seller side and there's the buyer side. So first, from the seller side, with an inspection, sellers generally have the opportunity when an inspection is completed by the buyer, if they choose, to state whether or not they truly want to do any of the inspection repairs that are requested by the buyer. Generally, for the seller's perspective, if the inspectionable items come and the buyer says, hey, listen, I want you to fix these things, the main thing for the seller to understand is that you have, the leverage because it's your home. You can decide whether you want to do something or you don't. And when it comes to those items, generally, if, like, for example, you may have an AC unit that's getting a little old or a roof that's old, but yet everything's operational. There's no leaks in the roof. The AC draws the proper temperature. It's working, but it might be old. You don't necessarily have to fix that because it's an as-is contract and you are presenting the home the way it's supposed to be presented, and the buyer, when looking at the home before putting an offer, has seen the house as it's supposed to be seen. So generally, as for a seller's perspective, if everything is working and nothing is broken and there's no 4-point items, meaning 4-point items are things like roof, electricity, AC, and plumbing, don't have any major issues that would be considered something of health and safety, then generally you really just don't have to say yes to any of the repairs realistically. Of course, if you're trying to sell your home, you should be flexible and be understanding that a buyer might see a home that they want to buy and they're under contract, they might want some things done. So from a seller's perspective, you always have, an opportunity to have leverage because it's your home. You make the choices on what you want to repair and what you don't. Now, from a buyer's perspective, when it comes to as-is sales contracts, it actually protects the buyer a little more than you think. When you go under contract, with an as-is contract, you have what is called the inspection period. You can choose as a buyer to waive your inspection period. It might be a brand new home and there's probably no reason to do an inspection. We always recommend an inspection be done, but there could be reasons, in this competitive market where we have a seller's market. If you're a cash buyer, you might want to waive the inspection period because you know that it might be, for example, an investment home and you're going to do improvements to it anyway. You may feel it's a sound home and not want to do an inspection, but generally a majority of clients do an inspection. And in that inspection period, you're actually protected as a buyer in your contract. So until you actually, reconcile with the seller those things that you want repaired, you can take the earnest money deposit that you put down when you place an offer to say, hey, I want to purchase this house. Here's, let's say, $5,000 to say, I want to purchase it, and put a hold on the contract. You actually have a chance to, at that time, be able to remove yourself from the contract, cancel the contract, get your earnest money deposit back if you're not comfortable with what's going on with the inspection. So in this time period, you would reach out to us, unless you already have your own home inspector, right, of choice. We have a number of preferred vendors that we work with personally that are, top-notch home inspectors. and they'll come to the home and they'll comb that whole entire property from soup to nuts, right? You'll probably get a long drafted piece of American literature, maybe 60, 70 pages long, but it's good because it lets you know everything that's going on with the home. So at that point, as a buyer, you have the options to comb through with us. We would take our time and review the report with you, most likely go with you to the inspection or represent you as well to see how things are going. And once you have that report, we digest and see what you need to make a reconciliation with the seller. So once again, as I was talking about with the sellers, buyers, you have to understand that there's a difference between little cosmetic things, like, for example, a doorknob isn't the color that you want, or there's a little ding on the wall, or, let's say you don't like the color in a bedroom. Those particular type of things, really aren't negotiable inspection items. But what is inspectable, negotiable items that have some weight to it are things such as 4-point items, like I mentioned before. If the AC unit is not working properly and has some issues, if there's any electrical items such as the panel is too old, or a GFI is not in the kitchen close to where water is, or the wiring in the like the attic space doesn't have a junction box, which could cause a fire hazard, or the plumbing is bad. Those are things that you tangibly have an opportunity to negotiate. And other things that might not be working as well, like a light might not be working, or other things such as that, a little bit more serious and actually have a little more weight to them. So in that period, you do have the opportunity as a buyer to ask for whatever you're looking for, but understand that once you get to that point where you've come to an understanding of what you want to recommend, you would then, with the realtor, us, present those items to the seller within the time period that you have, which Florida is generally 10 days of an inspection period. And then the seller will review those. There will probably be a little bit of negotiation back and forth and settling to a point in which you both will feel comfortable with the inspection items that need to be done. And then those items need to be repaired or replaced before your final walkthrough, when you're getting ready to go to the closing table to get your keys. If you guys decide that you can't make an amends, once again, at that point, you can say, we would like to cancel the contract. You would get your earnest money deposit, and we'd be off to the races to go and find you another home. So keep those things in mind, because an inspection period is a very important time for you as the buyer and you as the seller to see if this is going to be a good union to get you both to the closing table. And as realtors, that's our job, to try and take care of who we're representing and making sure that both parties are getting to the closing table, right? So me, Fred Quinones, and Nicole Quinones can help you with any questions that you might have about the selling and buying process. We're always here to inform our clients and help anybody who needs any help. So we hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you soon.